We love seeing our favorite superheroes or supervillains up on the big screen. But all around us are animals with strange and unusual abilities that wouldn't be out of place in the latest Marvel movie. In fact, one of the creatures in our video is even named after everyone's favorite member of the X-Men. To make sure you stay up to date with the latest and greatest from the Hub, make sure you subscribe and join our notification squad. No superpowers required. Cockroaches. You may not think of cockroaches as having superpowers, especially when you see them skittering across your kitchen floor. But there's a reason that some people say that cockroaches are likely to outlast the human species. As anyone who's ever tried to get rid of them knows, cockroaches are incredibly hardy. Even the Mythbusters put them to the test and found out that out of thousands of roaches, 10% were able to survive Hiroshima-level radiation after 30 days of exposure. While radiation can cause mutation in humans, roaches are much more simple than we are and have fewer genes which are capable of mutating. Their cells divide more slowly than ours do, giving their cellular chemistry time to address any issues caused by the radiation. They're also capable of holding their breaths for an incredibly long period of time because of their efficient breathing system. One reason it's hard to eliminate roaches is because they can hold their breath when faced with poisonous gas. When air flows into their tracheal system, interior valves known as spiracles can shut, meaning that the roach stops breathing. They can hold their breath for up to 7 minutes this way. Oh, and did we mention that having heads is optional for a roach? That's right. Because of their open circulatory system, roaches can use their spiracles to breathe even if they no longer have a mouth. Jellyfish. We know that animals, humans, and insects all go through a predetermined life cycle. However, one type of jellyfish didn't get that memo, and in fact is known as the immortal jellyfish. Its scientific name is a Turritopsis dohrnii, and it was first discovered swimming in the Mediterranean Sea back in 1883. However, like all good superheroes, this jellyfish was so good at maintaining a secret identity that we didn't become aware of its incredible ability until the 1990s. When conditions such as starvation or physical damage occur that might be fatal to another animal, this jellyfish just presses the reset button on life. Their cells transform into a younger state, and they revert back into a blob-like cyst, and then into a polyp colony. Their cells are completely transformed during this process, and some can even change duties, such as having muscle cells transform into nerve cells. And not only does this jellyfish have the ability to start life over, something plenty of us wish we could do, but it can come back in a more plentiful way than before. Each polyp colony can spawn hundreds of jellyfish using asexual reproduction. The resulting jellies are near perfect copies of the original adult jellyfish. Tuatara. These little lizards are found only in New Zealand, and at first glance, you may not think there's anything unusual about them. That's the thing about superheroes, they're good at blending. But the Tuatara has a lineage so ancient that they're often referred to as living fossils because their closest relatives went extinct around the same time as the dinosaurs did. Their name is a Maori word, meaning peaks on back or spiny back, and one look at them will tell you how they earned that name. However, this lizard is hiding a truly unique superpower. They possess a third eye, and we don't mean that in a spiritual sense. They literally have a third eye. If you don't see it when you look at their faces, don't worry. Although this eye is visible on a young Tuatara, over time it becomes covered with scales and pigments that make it difficult to see. This third eye is located on top of their heads and is packed with nerve endings. It has a retina and a lens just like a normal eye. It doesn't see like a normal eye, and instead the lizard uses it to detect light and darkness. Tardigrades. The tardigrade might not look very impressive, and it even has an array of adorable nicknames, including water bears and moss piglets. However, these micro-animals have perhaps the most incredible powers of survival around. They can be found in a wide variety of environments, including mountaintops, deep in the ocean, in tropical rainforests, and even in the Antarctic. They can withstand temperatures from -458 to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. While underwater pressure limits humans from exploring the ocean, tardigrades can withstand pressure 6 times greater than that found in the deepest ocean trenches. They can survive hundreds of times more radiation than we can, and can even live in the vacuum of space. To defeat a tardigrade, a supervillain would have to reduce their body composition to only 3% water, which is easier said than done, since they can go without food or water for well over 30 years. Consider that perspective next time you're getting antsy waiting for your microwave dinner to heat up. Scientists even hope that studying tardigrades might lead to ways that would better protect humans from radiation. Their cells produce a protein that protects their DNA from radiation. Scientists from the University of Tokyo are trying to work out a way for this protein to be used on human cells as well. Camels. Drinks the most water may not sound like much of a superpower at first, but when it comes to survival, it's actually quite impressive. They may not look like it, but few animals are as built for survival as the camel. Camels are capable of surviving up to 6 months without eating and can go months without a single sip of water. You may have erroneously believed that they use their humps to store water, but in fact their humps contain body fat. These concentrations of fat also help the camels survive in brutally high temperatures. Their oval-shaped red blood cells help their blood to flow evenly during times in which water is scarce. They can suck down 30 gallons of water in just 13 minutes, a feat that would be fatal to humans or other animals. This means that they can rehydrate faster than any other living being on the planet. If you were thinking about using a sand attack on a camel, well, first of all, that's kind of weird. But more importantly, it wouldn't work. 2 rows of eyelashes protect their eyes, and they're able to shut their nostrils to keep sand out. Planaria flatworms. The unexciting appearance of these planaria flatworms belies their miraculous ability. These organisms are simple, but display cephalization, meaning that they have a foundation of a head and a primitive brain. These worms have a regenerative ability that would make Wolverine jealous. If you split one right down the middle, each piece will regenerate into an entire new worm. In 2011, researchers discovered that the worms use stem cells, which are distributed all throughout their bodies. However, we aren't exactly sure how the process works. These worms aren't the only animals who can regenerate. For example, starfish are able to regrow lost limbs. But the extent of their ability is incredible. If you cut up one into 279 pieces, a weirdly specific number, but each piece would be able to regrow into an entirely new worm. And it takes them approximately 1 week to do so, which seems like an incredibly fast turnaround time, especially since they have to regrow a new brain and nervous system. Because of this, it's no surprise that they are incredibly popular when it comes to neuropharmacology research. They use the same neurotransmitters that we do, so many of their reactions to different chemicals are the same as ours. Chitons. Regenerating parts of your body like the planaria flatworm is just part of being a real-life Wolverine. You also need to have the adamantium skeleton. In this case, the chiton has you covered. These marine mollusks use their teeth to scrape algae off of rocks, which means that they must be pretty strong. In fact, their glittering black teeth are made out of magnetite, the hardest mineral made by a living organism. For humans to synthesize a similar material, it takes extremely high temperatures and pressure, but the chiton is able to make this while floating around in the ocean. Bioengineer Lyle Gordon used an atom probe to study the inner working of the chiton's teeth and found that they contain proteins and sugars that are used to form iron oxide. In the center of each tooth, carbohydrate fibers crisscross to form a scaffolding that binds positively charged ions, including magnesium and sodium. These then bind to the negatively charged proteins that collect iron, helping their teeth grow. These creatures have hundreds of teeth and create more every few days. It's so incredible that Gordon hopes to imitate the technique in the lab, greatly simplifying current techniques for synthesizing tough materials. Hairy frog. At this point, it seems like no coincidence that Wolverine is named after an animal, since so many of his powers occur naturally in the animal kingdom. This hairy frog looks different than most of the frogs you're used to seeing for one obvious reason: it has hair. It's also known as the horror frog or the Wolverine frog for reasons that will soon become obvious. Wolverine's claws are the most obvious and iconic aspect of his special abilities, and these frogs can actually do something similar. These frogs can break their own bones and push them out through their own skin to produce claws. Are you done cringing yet? Scientists believe that this rather gruesome ability is used as a self-defense mechanism. Normally, these bones are nestled inside a massive connective tissue on the frog's hind legs. A chunk of collagen bonds the claw's sharp point and a piece of bone at the tip of the toe. The other end is connected to a muscle that is contracted when the frog feels threatened. This causes the sharp point to break away from the bony tip, slicing through the pad of its toe. Further study is needed to fully understand how the frogs are able to retract their claws, and if they have some sort of accompanying regenerative powers. Mantis shrimp. The mantis shrimp is one animal that looks like it already has a superhero costume on. It's clearly more interested in standing out than blending in, but this little creature packs a powerful punch. Their weapons are their claws, which are made of a unique composition and structure which prevent them from cracking. And they even grow back if they do lose them, which is good news for David Casalis, a chemical engineer at the University of California who wanted to study them. Using electron microscopes and x-rays, he examined their claws and found a complex arrangement of layers. The region of impact features a highly crystallized form of mineral hydroxyapatite, which is found in our bones and teeth. Below that are more layers of hydroxyapatite, but non-crystallized. Inside is chitin, which is also found in exoskeletons. Because of the differences in stiffness and orientation of the layers, small cracks can form, but are prevented from spreading, so the claw stays intact. Which is helpful because the mantis shrimp has the fastest punch on Earth. When they swing, it's faster than a .22 caliber bullet. They may not fly as fast as a speeding bullet, but punching as fast as one is still pretty incredible. Salp. The X-Men, the Avengers, the Justice League, sometimes superheroes are just better together. This is something the Salp knows all too well. Yes, we are positive that this is a real creature and not a strange plastic bag floating in the ocean. These marine invertebrates feed on plankton and move by pumping water through their gelatinous bodies. You may think they look like jellyfish, but salps actually have anatomical features similar to true vertebrates, which jellyfish do not. Although they may look simple, they have a rather complex life cycle. During the aggregate portion of this cycle, they form a massive chain. They remain attached to each other even when swimming and eating. But their real superpower occurs when they experience an abundance of plankton. If you've ever wished you had a few friends with which to share a huge pizza or a comically large ice cream sundae, the salp knows that feeling. When they have plenty of food, they butt off clones of themselves, which then feed on the plankton as well. They grow incredibly quickly, especially considering the salp is a multicellular organism. So not only do they have an incredible cloning power, they're also master opportunists. We know that there are tons of animals out there with incredible superpowers, and making a single video about them all would end up being way too long. What's your favorite animal and what makes them so special? Just in case we feature them in a future video, make sure you're subscribed to the Hub and join our notification squad. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.